Dude, it has now been a few days since I initially competed as a competitive bodybuilder for the very first time, if you cannot tell by the ridiculous fake tan right now. And I need to give you a much needed update because, well, things didn't exactly go to plan when I was finally able to get up on stage. So what actually happened on show day? My aim with this competition was not to ever think about placing first or winning, which is a good job because the dude who did actually win the competition had a way better physique than what I did, and I could never have beaten him in the slightest. The aim of this entire prep competition, the last 18 weeks of my life, were to essentially use this competition as a driving force for me to push my physique to a new level, to achieve a dream that I used to only ever dream of, which was to actually step on stage as a competitive bodybuilder. And I definitely achieved that goal on the day, as it was by far the best I have ever looked in my life. And me, my coach, my friends around me were really confident in the physique that I was actually going to bring to the stage. So what happened on stage and where did things go wrong? Essentially, it was my posing that let me down. My physique, like I said, my body was the best it had ever looked. I achieved a level of conditioning that I have never achieved in my life, and I was more than happy with how I was going to present myself on stage for the first time. But it was my posing that ultimately just let me down, and on the day just unleashed a complete clusterfuck on stage. Now, my posing itself was something that I was never 100% confident in. My physique, I was 100% confident in. My posing, it did not match in the slightest. Even though I did hire a posing coach, within a 10-week period, I only had 3 posing lessons with this coach. So pretty much just over 2 hours of posing practice in total. Now, I tried getting more sessions in, but there was always some kind of like time delay. He wasn't showing up, and then just miscommunication. And it was always hard to try and get posing practice sessions in with my coach itself. I then obviously went to the Ryan Terry event, to where I was able to get some great tips from Ryan Terry itself, but putting together an overall posing routine and getting everything to where you essentially need to know what you're going to do next in order for you to flow into the next transition and into the next pose. And that's what you need to be practicing, along with all the other cues that come with it. And in my last training session of peak week, where I went to Tatham's gym with my coach Lee and Rich, they both said, let's run through some posing. And then that's when they said, we need to change this posing routine because it doesn't look good. It doesn't bring your it doesn't show the best of your physique. And after you've been practicing something for probably 5 to 6 weeks, I wasn't having posing practice sessions, but I was able to still obviously make the most of the 3 sessions that I had with my posing coach, record, and then just drill through the routine that he put forward to me, and then was in the posing room after every workout for about 30 to 45 minutes a day, running through this routine so I would get into a flow state of being able to just transition into the next pose, obviously work on the transitions, the quarter turns. And so that was ingrained into me at that point. The footwork that I had put into play was completely ingrained into me. I was doing it without even thinking about it. Then to them being told you need to change your footwork in order to like make your physique look better and bring a better side of your physique 2 days before you're stepping on stage, definitely wasn't what I wanted to hear. But I knew obviously the guys were looking out for me, and they were telling me obviously their honest opinion, and that's why they were telling me that I need to change it, because what I was doing wasn't making me look the best. And when you're on stage, you're quite literally there to look the best. And at that moment, that's when things just kind of start to fall apart for me, because I knew that I didn't have enough time in order to practice enough to change it, to make it flow, to make it fluid, and to make it overall work for me. The only way I can think of explaining it is like posing is kind of like dancing, to where you need to get into that flow, you need to get into that rhythm, you need to essentially know what you're doing next. You need to know the routine basically. And that routine that I'd been practicing for pretty much 5 weeks at that point was completely ingrained into me. I just kept on going with my old footwork because my brain was conditioned to do that footwork. I could not get into the rhythm or flow of changing that footwork. And then I was just getting so stressed out, and it was something that then I just did not feel confident in the slightest. And even the night before, on the Friday, when I went to the gym to do 20, even though I did 30 minutes of cardio to do posing practice, I was in the posing room at that point, and I just accepted in my head that my posing was going to let me down, and there was nothing I could could do about it, because like I said, there was 24 to 48 hours to get it sorted, and I knew that it wasn't enough time. Now on show day itself, I was really calm, I was relaxed, I was in a flow state where I wasn't stressed, I was just ready to actually step on stage because of the level of confidence that I had in my physique and the way that I was looking and the conditioning that I was bringing to the stage. And everything on the day went perfect up until I went into the back of the stage, and that's when things started to just completely fall apart. Now this competition was by far the busiest competition of the entire season, of the entire year, when it does come to competitive bodybuilding in the UK. This competition was sold out weeks, if not months, before it actually took place. And to give you context for classic physique, the class that was on before men's physique was that busy. There was literally competitors pretty much on the edge of the stage. There was 18 competitors on one single stage. And so once I got into obviously the back of the stage to where you need to start pumping up, again, this is all brand new to me. I don't know what's going off or what to expect. I get myself into a nice little corner in the back of the stage to where I can pump up. I've got my bag down, I've got my headphones on, and a security guard comes up to me and says that I can't be there for whatever reason. And I say, why? I'm in nobody's way. And he says that you just can't be there. And I said, just give me a reason why. You know, I'm really set up here. And he just said, I'm telling you, you can't be here. That's the reason. I'm telling you that you need to move. And so then I had to go and basically move, and everyone was just so cramped together. You could barely even pump up without touching someone. I was then stressing about all of my belongings. I knew that obviously you've got to put trust in people, but when you don't know people and there's about 100, like probably about 50 people, 60 people backstage you've never met before in your life, and you've got belongings there, you're going to be a little bit stressed. Then said to the guy who was calling all of the classes, battery died, rookie error. Luckily I've got 3 batteries on deck now. And that's one thing with this camera, it rinses through batteries when you're recording. But like I was saying, I said to the guy who was basically doing all the call outs for each class, how long have we got until obviously I go on stage? And he said 30 minutes. I was like, okay, that's great. I can obviously pump up for a few minutes, then take obviously my pump drink, obviously then pump up a bit more, go to the toilet, and then I'm good to go on stage. He then comes over and says, right, men's physique, medium, you're on in 10 minutes. I'm like, wait, what? Literally 20 minutes has just gone. Like, that's just been shaved off. I still need the toilets, and I run over to the toilet. I then cannot wee, which then is stressing me out because I feel like my stomach is bloated in my midsection. I can't pull my stomach in because I feel like I need a wee. Probably don't need a wee, but I'm just stressed and nervous. Then rushing to obviously get pumped up, getting obviously rested a touch up on tan, and then we go on stage. And as soon as I go on stage, again, the posing I knew wasn't my strongest point, but of course in a bodybuilding show, it's a strong point that you need to have on point, because you are quite literally being judged on 2 things: physique and posing. I had the physique, the posing, it went to shit. As soon as I stepped on stage, whatever happened, I don't know. I put 1 foot forward, which was obviously in my old footwork of what I'd been learning for like 5 weeks at that point, and I knew that I went wrong. As soon as I did that, I just lost my head. I did not know what I was doing, and if I had to tell you now what I did, I could not tell you. The only way I can tell you I know what I did is because there is video evidence of what I actually did on stage, because I cannot remember a single thing. So when we went to do our first quarter turn, for some reason I went and put my hand over my head. I then heard the officiator say, "Gentlemen, hands down." I'm not clocking that he's talking to me. All I then hear is my coach Lee scream at me to put my hand down. I put this arm down and then go and lift this arm up for whatever reason. I don't know why. My entire head just went completely. And if I'm being brutally honest, guys, at that point I knew I was completely done. I was finished. There was no coming back, and I could have easily just walked off the stage at that moment in time. Like, my head was just gone at that point. But I carried on. In fact, I actually managed to get center stage twice and got first call outs, which annoys me even more to the fact that if I would have had that posing routine on point, if that would have been how it needed to be, that I could have placed a lot better than what I initially did. Now, again, I didn't go into this competition in order to, you know, place, in order to come in at a certain place to get first, second or third or whatever. It was there just as the driving force for me to push my physique to a brand new level, somewhere I'd never been before, and achieve results that I'd only ever dream of. And I'm still proud of what I was able to achieve. I was able to completely transformed my physique within 18 weeks, looking like a completely different person at that point. And I've never been more proud of myself for what I was able to achieve in that 18-week period. But at the same time, it didn't go how it was meant to go. And that really got inside of my head, and I was really annoyed with myself because I could have placed better than what I did. But of course, knowing that my physique and the conditioning and the standard I needed to bring to the stage was there, the only thing that let me down was the posing, is the reason why I am making the decision to compete again and not letting this define me. Because if I don't compete again, if I don't get up on that stage again, I know for an absolute fact that it's just going to consume me and that it's just going to be something that is held over my head for a very, very long time. And so I need to go and compete again. I need to go and get on stage again and know next time around that I do it right. And I just want my experience from this to be a lesson to you that just because you fail does not mean you have to let that one specific failure define you as a person. Because I literally failed on stage in front of hundreds of people, in front of people that invested into me, that believed in me, and I failed then. But all that failure has done is show me exactly what I need to work on in order to do better next time, and that is the plan now. And I could easily just say that I've checked the goal of stepping on stage for the first time, which was the goal, and that I'm not doing it again. But I know if I do that, that it will just eat me up over time, and I cannot let that happen.
Artlist.io